Good morning, good morning, good morning. Oop, oop, a doo. How y'all do?
Hey. Hey.
Check 1 2 1 2.
Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up.
Time to get up and move your body.
Get them limbs going. Get your brain moving, more importantly.
Man. Flex that brain muscle.
It is a muscle.
You know what it is. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Yeah.
Serious question, man.
Say what?
Serious question. What is a bigger muscle? Is it the gluteus maximus or is it the brain?
Depending on who you are.
I feel like there's a life lesson somewhere in there.
Say what?
Can you hear me now?
Check 1 2. Sounding good.
I said I feel like there's a life lesson in there somewhere between the gluteus maximus and the brain.
Man. I prefer both at the same time.
Oh, man. No comment.
Wednesday, April 19th.
It is hump day. It is hump day.
It is hump day. You know what day it is? You guessed it. You was right.
Hey.
First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning. Paul Beeee, Buddi3 Da Gawd.
What's up?
Chad Chimers, Ghost listeners. What's going on this morning, y'all? How you doing?
How you doing?
Wake on up. It's time to get on up. Shake it off. Move
Kind
your
of
body.
quiet this morning. We got Leia Keista coming through. Hey.
Oh, man. What she said, Wahoo Women's Wednesday. Okay. She got a new one. She got a new one out.
Wahoo. That kind of reminds me of Mario. Have you catch that new Mario Brothers? Have you?
No. I didn't
Did you know there was a new Mario Brothers?
I
film?
know that.
You must definitely been. It's like the number. It's like the new hit movie,
bro.
Well, you know, I have little ones, so I have
I was
not
gonna say,
the luxury of not knowing.
I got to go ask little man about it. So yeah, but I have not.
I'm surprised he hasn't told you just voluntarily.
I'm surprised Brooke hasn't. My sister probably was. I think she was into Mario back in the day. She probably knows about it.
Oh yeah.
See what's happening. Okay. Well, that's what's up. Shout out to the 6:30 crew this morning. I already got a good message from Beth. Appreciate you sending me a message and acknowledging what's happening. Try to give you a little grooves this morning. Seems like you approve of the set list, so appreciate that.
Okay, approved of the grooves.
Yeah, man. There you go. Approved of the groove. For those of you that don't know, we do have a digital radio channel, so you can go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the listen button, or if you have Amazon Alexa, you can ask Alexa to play First Sky Omaha Radio. And it's a 24/7 celebration of black music over there. Going down. It is Wednesday, April 19th. Good morning to you. Yeah, it is a little quiet over there. I wonder if everything's okay with the chats. If you're on Facebook, let us know that you're there. I see Amy H. giving us a good morning with some sunshine. Good morning to you.
No doubt.
Appreciate you coming on through. No doubt. Mr. Erica Fell says, good morning, friends. Good morning to you as well. Appreciate you coming on in this morning. And I appreciate everybody that's tuned in. Definitely going to be a good show. It's always a good show when we have Precious McKesson and Kimara Snipes on.
Hey, the ladies.
Yeah, we're expecting the ladies to come through a little later on this morning. In the meantime, between time, how you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm all right, hanging in there. Trying to stay fast, staying strong. Last couple of days of Ramadan, like the last, final stretch, and temptation. It's getting stronger.
Stay away from them crackers.
Man. Yeah, man. It's just a voice in the back of my head, like, man, it's only a couple days left, man. You might as well just go ahead and you did good. You might as well just go ahead and might as well. Like, nah. Gotta stand strong.
That reminds me of a story. When I lived in California, I lived in a place where everything was an hour away. So
sounds familiar.
Decided to stay out in LA one night, partying and stuff like hanging out. 2, 3 in the morning, I'm driving back, trying to keep
Lid's
my eyes
getting
open
heavy.
and all that, man.
Mm-hmm.
Hit my block, hit my street, and was like, I made it to my street. Boom, fell asleep, hit the curb.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Last
my
stretch, bro, because you get comfortable thinking I only got a few more. You get comfortable, so that kind of reminds me of that. Like, stay strong, bro, to the very end.
man. That's funny you said that. Mom's I always remember like a statistic, a random statistic that Mama God threw out at me, but it's like a almost 60 to 80% of accidents happen within a radius of the location that the person was going because like just like that, just the mentality mentally, we get to that final stretch or whatever it is and just start to relax. So power through, y'all, power through, whatever it is, power through.
Hey, Vaughn Chapman gives us a good morning with some sunshine over there on Facebook, letting us know Facebook is up. Appreciate that very much. Laura Long in the house. Good morning, guys. Happy
Okay,
Wednesday. Happy
that's
Wednesday to you.
a new name.
Yeah, that's what's up. Miss Erica Felt says, I'm about to Bluetooth you into the car and drive Boogie to school. Okay, cool,
Hey.
cool. That's what's up. Appreciate that.
Happy
I remember
Wednesday.
Black Dynamite. Black Dynamite was telling people about the aux cord. Go ahead, go on
Man, yeah,
Bluetooth.
yeah. Go ahead, Bluetooth it.
Not on the air anymore, but we are. But with the way the cars, everything's going, you can just go ahead and Bluetooth in the car. That's what it is. So, Wanda Lewis gives us a good morning as well from Facebook. Thank you, thank you. And that woman says, "Happy Ramadan. My neighbors brought me some delicious food the other night from their break fast. That's what's up."
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Gwen Easter gives us a good morning on Facebook. Good morning to you as well. Appreciate you coming on in. Yeah, man, this is a good day. It's always a good day. Like I say, when Precious McKesson and Kimara Snipes come through, which we are expecting them to come through a little later on, we'll be politicking with P and seeing what's good in the hood with Kimara Snipes.
Looking forward to it, man. Looking forward to it. As always, a highlight of the week. But yeah, beyond that, let us know what's going on in your world out there in the chat. I was kind of talking to you yesterday, Paul. You said the weather is nice.
I mean, it's okay. It was thunderstormy last night, kind of kept me up.
Okay.
The rain's coming. It's warm. It's warmer.
There you go.
75 degrees and stuff, but we also get some thunderstorms and some high winds and all that too. So it's that season.
Man, for sure.
Yeah.
Man, Brother Stephen Abraham coming in with the perspective says we made it through another rotation. He says that's my way of saying good morning. So top of the morning to you. I mean, that's a good way to look at it. Some people, what they say, sleep is a cousin of death. So, it's a new life,
All right.
new chance to be better.
I'm gonna try to hang out with Cuz a little bit more. I need more
Siesta
sleep.
Fiesta.
Marianne Williams in the house. She says, good morning. She says, LB77 permitless concealed carry is on the floor for final reading this morning at 9 o'clock. If you have something to say to the senators this morning is the time. This morning is the time.
Okay.
So if you can send an email or personal note or something like that to the senators to say something about it. I know there was some teachers that were rallying about, I think I saw an article where some teachers were rallying up to oppose this. So yeah, big deal in the Senate in the unicameral this morning for sure. I appreciate you giving us an update on that and something to look forward to. We'll definitely be talking about what's going on up there.
Or really what hasn't, you know what I mean? News reports coming out, only one, the first bill finally getting passed, the first law finally getting passed through the legislature this session, which is a little late in the game for the first one to come through. So we'll definitely be talking about that a little later on throughout the show. So a big shout out to you, Marianne Williams, always on top of it, always letting us know what's going on.
Yeah, chat chambers get down. What else we gonna be talking about today while we're at it?
Yeah, man. Definitely a few things to get into. I don't know if anyone has been paying attention to this Fox News lawsuit, but anything that kind of impacts media and could be very, very landmark in the form of media and defamation and libel. And what can be said. Again, Fox News in some turmoil about their reporting of the election scandal, I guess you can call it. I mean, it really wasn't a scandal. Nothing happened. Several courts proved it, but the Trumpsters were on the hunt, and Fox News did some pretty interesting coverage of that hunt, which led to a lawsuit, and which is now finally settled. So we'll be diving into that settlement a little later on in the show. Also looking at a local media. I don't want to say mogul, but the company is growing. I'll just say that Representative Mike Flood is adding 2 more radio stations to his communications out in rural Nebraska. So kind of talk about that a little bit, and then also I definitely want to look at what's going on with the. I want to say the dynamic duo because I don't really have another way to put it. But we've been talking about Pillen and haven't really acknowledged the fact that Ricketts is still around. We'll definitely be talking about what he's been up to lately. Again, new senator, appointed senator Pete
U.S.
Ricketts. Yes, U.S. Senator Pete Ricketts. Again, forgot that Ricketts paid for Pillen's, substantially for Pillen's campaign, and then Pillen turned around and appointed Ricketts, and now Ricketts is raising more money for more campaigns. So yeah, we'll talk about that and more throughout the show. As always, if there's anything on your hearts and minds that we're not discussing, feel free to drop that into the chat. And, we try to acknowledge it. If we have some more information, or if the chat chimers would like to expound on that, or if they have any input, we can all talk about it.
Yeah, man. Also, man, we definitely going to talk about. We might save this for for Friday when Senator McKinney comes on, but just want to talk a little bit about his efforts up there too. He's been doing some things. He's in the news again, so appreciate that. Also, man, I saw some. I'm always peeping about what's going on in California, but in California, Governor Newsom had a statement that I thought was wow. I was like, wow.
I mean, was his statement like wow, or was the statement he was referring to? Really like wow.
Well, it just hit us because we're the ones that talked about this already. We talked about it. We played the clip. Did we play the clip? I think we played the clip. I pulled the clip. I don't know if we played it, but it was we had a senator that was on the floor talking about being replaced. This whole conspiracy of the white replacement, great replacement theory, and here's what Governor Newsom had to say in national news. I thought this was something else. This is on his Twitter page.
Talking about Nebraska.
Over in Nebraska, the state Senate is busy combining the concept of abortion, the great replacement theory, and misogyny, stating that a 6-week abortion ban is necessary because white people are being replaced. We have not grown except those foreigners who have moved here or refugees who have been placed here because we've killed 200,000 people. That was the quote.
Man, I'm gonna find that. I'm gonna find that clip because that was one of our senators. This is the type of the mess that's been spewed out on the floor. This is the type of things that Senators McKinney and Wayne have to go to work and hear their coworkers. What if your coworkers are just saying this stuff in the break room?
Oh man, we be fighting in the.
Know what I'm saying?
If one thing we can get across with this season 5, teamwork makes the dream work is that. One of the toughest jobs in the state got to be you being a black senator up there dealing with that mess during the session the whole time. And worse than that, that's not the worst thing that's said on the floor.
Man,
no wonder, like Brother McKinney be ready to jump up over the table on somebody. Like I don't blame him.
Furniture moving.
I would be moving some furniture. Like it would be tough for me to not be in there moving some furniture. Tony Johnson said that no organization has formally denounced this. Man, like nobody's really even saying much about it. I don't think we didn't pull that from no news article out here. That's us. That's the chat chimers replaying what it is that these guys were saying, and me watching the legislature and pulling the clip. Like it just that's what hit me about Newsom's thing is because like we're sitting here talking about it, and it's almost like you get gaslit for a minute. You're like, did he really say that? Is that really what it is? And you got to kind of sometimes hear from somebody on the outside saying how crazy it is for you to be like, yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah. He really said that, and I found the clip. It's Senator Steve Erdman.
Yes, Erdman, right. You got the clip? You want to play it?
Yeah. You want to play it? You can go ahead.
Might as well. You hear it in his own words.
This is what goes down in the legislature.
Yeah.
We have killed 2,000 babies since abortion became legal. Those are 2,000 people in the state of Nebraska that could be working and filling some of those positions that we have vacancies.
Could be working.
They're not here. Our state population has not grown except by those foreigners who have moved here or refugees who've been placed here. Why is that? It's because we've killed 200,000 people. These are people we've killed.
Wow.
We have killed.
Yo. And with that, let's start the show.
Let's start the show.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Good morning, good morning, good morning. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the DS.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers, ghost listeners, radio listeners, everybody that comes through, comes in, comes out, first time listeners, last time listeners, brand new listeners. Appreciate everybody that's coming on in.
Everybody.
Whoa.
I'm sorry.
Did you just take it to the back street? My goodness.
Man, every time, hey, I'm not gonna lie, every time you go through that opening spiel, that's just what plays in my head.
Casualty of the 90s.
Yeah, hey, I'm a 90s baby, man.
If you're on Facebook or YouTube, do us a favor, share the show. We want to get as many people in talking as we can, for sure.
Yeah, man.
Good morning to Von Chapman, who gets up very, very early to check us out. Appreciate you. One of the top chat chimers.
Thank you.
From way back, he says, nobody in Nebraska legislature said anything because racism is real and accepted by the Nebraska unicameral, with the exception of Senators McKinney and Wayne.
Yeah, man. It was business as usual. That's why it was normal. That's why nobody said anything.
And like I said, I've heard worse. That's just one that's just standing out right now. Like,
right.
When somebody in the country wants to use an example of white folks in positions of power, talking about the white replacement theory. Now we have an example from Nebraska for them to use.
Nebraska.
Lucky us. Amy H. No Dot says, I was watching that live as it happened. Had to go back to the recorded version to see if I heard it right. Right.
Yeah, you heard it.
I did the same thing, and then we reported it, and then we played the clip, and now I'm still going back and going, I mean, he really said that.
Yeah.
because somebody from the outside had to look in and be like, wow, that's crazy.
This is crazy. Yeah. This is what we're dealing with in Nebraska, man. Yeah. Not thriving, not 200,000 people living.
200,000. I mean, think about what he's saying. This state has not grown because, black people of color and immigrants don't count for growing the state. The state has not grown except for those immigrants. Because we killed 2,000. He might as well have said white people when he said people. He might as well say we killed 2,000 white people that could be working jobs. I almost cussed. These fools is crazy. These fools are crazy, bro. What an insane thing to say. What an insane thing to say.
But, people are really believing and moving and operating on, that stuff. The crazy part is like, that's a fear. That's a legit fear that they have. And we all know the, big part of the Republican agenda, as we, call it here, is fear-based.
Right.
The whole point or the bad part about moving things out of fear is sometimes you can have self-fulfilling prophecies.
All right. Well, we're sufficiently shocked and dismayed. Rick Fulton in the house. Good morning. Says, thank you, brother. Thank you, Booker, for keeping the Phoenix Suns alive. Oh, he's talking about the game. Okay. The Phoenix Suns alive. Okay,
no, he's talking about Cory Booker. I ain't know. What?
Right. Juan Chapman said that BS continues to perpetuate because nobody challenges that crap. Well, I'm glad you, Brother Chapman. I think you put something in. I saw last minute a post that you made that was talking about Ernie Chambers and his stint in the legislature. And I'm glad you put that in there, man. Sometimes we got to get reminded about the times when things were challenged. He didn't challenge everything all the time because, as we're learning, you got to have some strategy and some nuance in this game.
Yeah, man.
I do see Brother McKinney challenging things from time to time. I do see, him and teaming up with brother Wayne so that they can come up with some strategy on the challenge. But it is a slippery slope when you're just in there by yourself. You can easily get pushed down even by your allies, as we have been seeing this
Yeah.
this time.
Gotta pick their battles, as they say.
Pick the battles.
Yeah,
Rick
man.
Fulton still talking about the basketball game. Says Suns have never won an NBA title. Is that right?
Yeah.
Windhorse is covering this series. Okay, I
No.
in Arizona for college. Okay,
They they've gotten close. But then Michael Jordan.
yeah, you could say that about a whole lot of things that went on in
Yep,
the
yep,
'80s, early
yep,
'90s.
yep.
They got close, but then Michael Jordan.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But I have been watching the game, and I will say I am pleasantly surprised and happy. The more and more that I watch, sports, and more I watch basketball, the more and more references and athletes from Omaha and the Nebraska
mm,
area that I'm hearing about. So,
interesting.
yeah, big. I can't think of anybody. And well, of course, shout out to uh, the coach of the Clippers. He went to Nebraska.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a former Cornhusker.
Are they winning any games?
Man, yes, they actually might. He's actually one of the top coaches in the league.
Really?
Yeah, and he went to Nebraska. He's a
How's,
former
how's the Lakers
Cornhusker.
doing though? What's the Lakers doing?
Uh,
Okay, then enough said. Let's move on. 7:22
hey,
right now. If you believe in the, I don't want to hear no bad. Don't bring me no bad news. I'm like
I
Queen
mean,
Eveline.
yeah,
7:22. If you believe in the concept of time, let's definitely jump into these stories
yeah,
before
man.
the ladies get in on the set. What are some of the things we can be talking about today? Lots going on for sure.
Yeah, lots going on, but we can stick with kind of where we started as far as the legislature. You mentioned that there you got to pick your battles. That's kind of where we were, and it's true. And shout out to Senator McKinney because he's definitely doing that, continuing the fight and not really backing down, just being more strategic. And Senator
Mm,
McKinney, a big shout out to the Lincoln Journal Star for their report, is determined to continue to argue for improved programming at Nebraska prisons in an attempt to prepare prisoners to safely, return to society with skills they need to live productively as a better citizen and to have
mm,
a much better policy choice than building a huge and costly new state prison. Again, the money has already been set aside. The budget has already been set aside for the prison that they are building and the prison that they plan to build in the future. So money is set aside for two new prisons. But shout out to the senators for reminding us that there has not been any prison reform to go along with those two new prisons. So again, the state that's the second most overcrowded in the nation as far as prison population, um, is only going to get more crowded effectively. Perhaps just a piece of the session long extended debate that has delayed sharply, of course, limited this year's legislative production. There's a story we'll be getting into here in a second. But again, only one bill has been passed so far in the legislative session. So again, Senator McKinney pushing for more focus on prison reform. He says realistically, probably not in regards to what may happen. He says, but any conversation is useful. He says we can't just continue to spend more money on incarceration. Hypothetically, we could do some things by the time the new prison is said to be open. But again, he's just remaining hopeful. He says that might prevent the need to immediately begin planning for the next new prison, according to Senator McKinney. Which again, I've already alluded to, hundreds of millions of dollars set aside for the next prison after the prison that they haven't even built yet. So again, going in the wrong direction, if you ask me, and also Senator McKinney, who has occasionally been speaking up about prison reform, is kind of one of his focuses as a senator in general. And he's always speaking about the need for correctional reforms during the ongoing filibuster and continuing throughout this legislative session. So big shout out to Senator McKinney, always putting in the work. Again, he's somebody who's spoken clearly about, he has family members that's locked up. So he's always speaking, from a personal point. But we need people that understand to get it done. So big
Yeah.
shout out to Senator McKinney, and yeah.
We'll talk to him about a little bit more when he comes on Friday for the legislative report session on the show. Appreciate him and Brother Wayne doing that every week. Shout out to Heartland Ministries as well. They're putting out a offer to Senator McKinney on doing a study on this so that he can have some more ammo there. They said Amy H. No Dot says that they can word this legislative resolution vaguely so many people can come in and testify. And folks could testify about their personal experiences. I can have people talk about the potentials for correction and reform. So shout out to everybody who's trying to do the work to help him give him some ammo on some kind of prison reform situation over there. And of course, we all have understood this season that testimonies really work, especially personal ones. We're also, First Sky Omaha is also in the process of doing some of that work as well by working on some short documentaries on what's going on with people that are in the reentry program at Metropolitan Community College. So we're going to be also shooting some videos with people's testimonies about what's going on in and out of the prison situation. But yeah, we need all the help we can get. And we only got a few days left in the session, so we're really trying to connect Brother McKinney with people that can give him some support on that, so he can keep on trying to push it before the time is up. Because how many days left? Something like 20 days left or something crazy?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know about 20, but the clock is definitely ticking.
Yeah,
the clock is definitely ticking. Of course, there might be some other weeks. I know Senator Wayne said there has to be some time spent on the budget and a couple other things. So yeah, time is definitely ticking. So
yeah.
if they could get to some prison reform, that would be lovely. Especially again with 2 prisons already on the books, being built. Got to have some changes.
In the chat, Von Chapman says, have you seen the Empowerment Network challenge that the powers that be to help Senator McKinney with regard prison reform? I have not seen that. I think that was I think I saw something that you posted with my name on it. I haven't had a chance to look at it. I'll definitely go check it out. Ariel's 402 in the house. What's going on, Mayor Sanchez? He says, hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, please do that. Amy H. Dot in the house says, good morning, fam. Good morning to you.
Top of the morning.
Ariel's 402, the mayor is always giving some great advice. He said, for every dollar spent on incarceration, there should be $1 spent on prevention, rehabilitation. That would be nice if they can equal those dollars for sure. I mean, imagine we had prison money, the same amount of money that they're spending on these prisons, hundreds of millions of dollars spent on prevention and rehabilitation. Just that thought alone. Brother Chapman says, as the image consultant for the city of Omaha regarding North Omaha, did First Sky get tickets for the Magic Johnson? Did not get tickets for Magic Johnson. Did not get those. I was thinking about checking out to see if I was going to go to that. Not really sure yet. Quite sure yet. We still got some things I want to talk about, and I would love to still bring Brother Barney on. I know that he's working for the events that are coming up. But no, I have not. We have not gotten tickets for that yet. But we have been invited. We get invited every single time to their summits and their events, right? Amy H. No Dot says this hearing could happen during the summer, fall, set things up for next year. Heart Ministry Center, yeah. So shout out to Heart Ministry Center and Amy H. No Dot, who is offering these things. And yeah, we may not get it in this session, but it can be ammo for next session. We know Brother McKinney ain't gonna stop just because the year is up.
No. So and even if he does get some, I'm sure he has more reforms that he would like to push next session. So there's always going to be, the need for support, in the form or in the area of prison reform.
Absolutely.
So yeah, big shout out to Senator McKinney again for kind of spearheading that on the legislative floor. But we need to get behind him because again, it's not the sexy bills. It's not a lot of senators who want to support that. So if the people speak up, I can change that.
It doesn't seem like people do in general. Like it's not sexy enough for people to get up there too, but we should. There's too many. We got people in family and know too many people that are affected by these things, and so it should be something that we support even more.
Well, yeah. To the contrary. I mean, yeah. I think I had people that's close to me that are incarcerated, and I know people who have family members who are incarcerated, but I mean, I can see that again. If you don't know, or if you just can easily forget and not think about it. I mean, that's kind of the sheer nature of prisons. They just kind of put you away, and society moves on. That's why it's important to speak up. It's day whatever, and Ed Poindexter's still not free.
and and
Jackson,
Ernest
Ernest
Jackson
Jackson,
still not free.
still not
Still,
free. Nebraska still, the most overcrowded, well, second most overcrowded prison population in the country.
and
I mean,
once this new several $100 million prison gets built, it'll be instantly overcrowded again.
yeah, yeah. And just imagine, man, we incarcerate more people than Florida, California, Texas. These are huge states. Huge states.
Whoosh, man.
Little old Nebraska.
Yeah. What say you, chat chimers? Glenn Easter in the chat, switching gears a little bit. She says 2020, 2021, 2,360 babies have been reported in Nebraska. It's sad how many babies have been aborted. You saying report? I see what you're saying. Have been aborted. Yeah, very sad. Tony Johnson 12 says, where are groups like Rise, U-Turn, Reconnect on supporting McKinney? It's a good question. It's a good question. I'll ask because I really don't
ask
know.
him
Because brother McKinney can tell us
who supports him.
supporting him or not. Right, exactly. Aries 402 says a mentally ill man was eaten alive by bed bugs was recently in the news. I did see that.
Yes, that happened down here in Nebraska. Actually,
Atlanta.
yeah. Man, I'm mentally with y'all. But physically, yes, I am here in Georgia, in Atlanta, and actually, the Grand Chief, the leader of my Morris Science Temple, his son is a security guard at that prison.
Wow.
And it was getting a first-hand account was very chilling. So the issues that we talk about, even though yes, Nebraska is again the second most overcrowded prison population in the country, the issues are still the same as far as we talked about. Water issues in Nebraska State Prison, Tecumseh. Having water shut off. Bed bugs, all kind of sanitary issues. It's the same here in Georgia, and it's the same really around the country. And also to add to insult to injury, if you will, that man was mentally ill.
Man.
Yeah, as Ariel's 402 says. So yeah, as far as mental support for the mentally ill and how they're housing them and being how they're being treated. Yeah, sad situation.
It is
But
really sad.
there is a protest, there is a movement, the family is speaking up, and there's some action being done down here.
I hear that. That's what's up. Tony Johnson 12 is putting it out there. Would change in poverty rates change the number of abortions? I think change in poverty rates would change a number of things: abortions, crime, whole lots of stuff. He says you cannot look at abortion only through lens of religion. Yeah, I mean, you can look at whatever you want to look at, how you want to look at it individually. But I do think that solving the issue of poverty in our areas would solve a lot. It's definitely one part of the solution. And I think we keep on jumping on it because it's one of those parts of the solutions that we can maybe do something about. Because a lot of these things are family driven, individuals driven. We can give family support and we can give people support when they need it. But ultimately, everybody, people got to rally together just as people. But for an overall in this overall overarching thing that can be helped is the poverty in the area.
Mm-hmm.
If there's money there, if there's education there, then people might even be able to help themselves a little bit more when needed. So yeah, I think that we always that's one thing that I keep on going back to that we talk about a lot here on the show is you can't we can talk about all the symptoms of stuff that's going on all the time, but really the underlying factors, one of which is the poverty level here, the fact that there's not enough economic development around is definitely a big part of the reason why a lot of stuff happens. And studies prove that all the time. That's been proven over time that more crime in the area is, of course it's going to be because there's more poverty in the area.
And to your point of like there is something that we can do about some of these things, and even yes, addressing poverty will definitely address a lot of this stuff, and to kind of push the show along, we have several stories to get into. Definitely want to talk about the whole application process for the director of the Department of Economic Development, because again, that's going to play a big role in addressing poverty, especially in North Omaha and South Omaha, with this LB 1024 and these hundreds of millions of dollars that could possibly come into the community. But beyond that, even if we do get the money or even if we don't get the money, what I think really needs to be addressed is the village, which is funny. We've been talking about the empowerment network because that's kind of their big thing is the village. And they have this whole village plan, this whole village map of resources that you can go through if you need resources and, you need things throughout the community. It's a village map. It's on the empowerment network. Check it out. But even when think about kind of quote unquote back in the day when, I mean, there's, not having stuff is not new.
Right.
But even it seems like back in the day, even when we didn't have anything, we still had each other. And that sense of community, you know what I mean? It isn't there. Which I think is worth addressing.
Yeah.
And worth its weight. And, as much attention and much need that we feel like we got to get this money. We got to get this money. Well, we got to come together too. Teamwork really makes a dream work. I mean, it's a lot to say. Even not having anything, you can still at least go out and play and, trust that things will be okay.
True.
And people are looking out and that connectivity. And if you need something, there might be a neighbor you can ask.
Right.
And
to the credit of Omaha in particular, because I've lived a lot of places, Omaha does have that connectedness more than a lot of places I've been. Especially thinking about stuff like Omaha days, Native Omaha days coming up, and people that come back in town and rally with the family, and so on and so forth. In a lot of ways, family is kind of like really all everybody has here, and it is a little bit stronger than it is in some places. I'm thinking of Sherman Wells right now, who we're finding who he found out he's related to Vivian Strong, and now they're about to go ahead and give Vivian Strong some recognition. Vivian Strong being the young lady who was shot to death by the police back in the day, that kind of kicked off a lot of the uprising that happened in our neighborhood, especially the 24th and Lake Street area. We'll definitely have him on again and talk about that, but there's going to get some acknowledgement. But just listening to his story about how he found out he was related. There's still Vivian Strong's brother is still alive and is saying his sister is finally going to get recognized. He weaved in and out the situation here in Omaha. People he already knew he was family with, but also like found new people that he was family with. And then as me and him were even talking, I was asking him about a friend of mine named Thomas Wells, and he's going to look and see if they're related. So, there is a lot of family. There is a lot of connection here. And really, man, if everybody was just not in the scarcity mindset, I think things would be a lot better here, because there kind of is a bond here, especially in the black community in North Omaha, in the black community in Omaha in general, but in North Omaha especially, a little bit more than places I've been. So I got to kind of give Omaha ups for that a little bit, but that's because it's so family related. We're all here because we got family here. I'm here because my family's here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm back because there's people in my family getting a little older now and so on. And that's a big story for everybody too. So we have some of it, but economically, business wise, having some collaboration, having us get together on a plan, that's where Omaha lacks sometimes, where I can see, because we're always fighting for scraps. Somebody gets a little bit of up and people start jumping around because, it's a scarcity mindset that is been brought onto us by the way that the legislature and the powers that be and people have been allocating resources and stuff to our neighborhood. So I really feel like when I say that the only thing, we can make some real positive changes if we can do like what Brother McKinney and Brother Wayne have done, which is try to bring some money and economic development into the situation. And then, the love that we have for our family and friends can carry that once we get some kind of infrastructure happening. I mean, that may not be the total solution, but it's a start as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I mean, we need both. Is the point. Yeah. We need both. So speaking of that, do you want to go to the chat real quick? Because I see a few chat chimers dropping in. But I do want to talk about, the importance of this new application process that Pillen is finally allowing to go through. He has not appointed a new director for the Department of Economic Development for the state of Nebraska, which again is supposed to be the location or the route through which, again, those funds that we're talking about will come to the community. So we'll
Right.
definitely talk about that. But beforehand, yeah, let's jump into the chat. Big shout out to all the chat chimers. Let the mind be free, letting the voices be heard. What say you?
Yeah, man, I appreciate what Ariel's 402 is saying over here. Says the wife and I have a discussion about a secret wink, 1 or 2 winks, to ask each other if we feel safe in the hospital while one of us isn't there. I just, just the idea behind you having a discussion before you get into a situation to make sure y'all gonna be okay in the situation. I love that idea, and just resonated with me. I appreciate you sharing that. Brother Chapman says, without the will to do something about poverty, everything negative will continue. We definitely have the will to do something about poverty. The legislature needs the will to do something about poverty. The powers that be need the will to do something about poverty as well. I don't feel like they have it either. Tony Johnson 12 says black adoptions in maternal health in North Omaha is at an all-time low. Black churches could play a key role.
Yeah, they could, or bring back a hospital. That could help. That could help.
Miss Erica Fell says you don't need to be related to do work. This is very true.
Facts.
We have the advantage of having a lot of family around, but some of us don't have family here, but we make family here too. We make a family here with First Sky Omaha. So that's the nature of the thing, is making families, which is actually a passion of mine, is to go around making little families that we can that we can get together, people of one mind that can take care of some things and take care of each other. So
that's the only way to build a strong nation, man.
Got that right. Tony Johnson 12 says should have done a Vivian Strong bill to address police and bring back Black Panther School created years ago. We need the whole Black Panther Party to be back, to be honest.
It's an idea.
Kimara Snipes says, good morning, y'all. Good morning to you. Appreciate you coming on in. Also, Tony Johnson 12 says, Nebraska not changing because of streets being renamed. True. But it's a start to, to acknowledge, just at least acknowledge what's going on. And there was an actual fight, though, because law enforcement, remember, they ganged up on him, on Brother Sherman. I don't know. We talked about this yet.
We haven't. You kind of spilled some beans, but we'll definitely have the brother on and to really talk about, his. But to your point, Tony Johnson, I mean, getting the street, as Paul's saying, getting the street name hasn't even been the easiest thing. So imagine the fight it would be to get some bills named after her. That's definitely a thought. But again, this is what we're up against. So we gotta start somewhere.
Gwen Easter in the chat says, my mama told me the story about what happened to Vivian Strong and how 24th Street used to look. I'm glad she is being remembered. Yeah, man. That story never need to die. Kimara Snipes says, from someone who is adopted, I wholeheartedly agree. You're talking about how we build families. Yeah, I definitely don't. Like I said, we have the advantage. A lot of us have the advantage of having family here, and a lot of the reason why we're here is because of actual family. You ain't always close to all your family either, though. So that's the other part of it. It's definitely about your built family, even the family that is your blood family. You have to build. So it is to me. It's definitely about building that family and taking care of each other. Wanda Lewis in the chat says several rural hospitals are shutting down the maternity wards in Nebraska due to understaffing. They will no longer be able to deliver babies. Okay, well, that's
slightly concerning.
Yeah. Appreciate everybody's chats, everybody's thoughts on these things. If you've missed any of this show, then you want to check it out again, just go check it out in its entirety on Facebook and YouTube. And when you do, please look at the chat, because that's a lot of this conversation, a lot of great ideas, a lot of thoughts about from the people in our neighborhoods. All of it's there in the chat, so definitely go back and check it out. Give it some attention and in the respect it deserves as well. So I really appreciate that very much. Don't know what's going on with Precious. I'm gonna try to hit her up real quick and see if she's okay and everything's all right. If she's not on yet. But we were expecting Precious McKesson, Politicin with P. I see Kimara Snipes in the chat, so we'll definitely be talking to her in a minute. But let's take a quick break, man, and I'll see if I can get a hold and make sure everything's okay with Precious, and then we'll be right back and continue the conversation. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3 Da Gawd, chat chimers, ghost listeners. Turn the heat up. Get right near the beach. We'll be right back. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio, First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddi3
Hey.
Da Gawd, chat
Hey.
chimers. Man, chat chimers going off. I love it.
Yeah, man.
Ghost listeners, thanks for everybody joining us. If you are on Facebook or YouTube, do us a favor and share the show. I want to get as many people in as we can, and I went ahead and shot a message to Miss McKesson and see what's going on there. And also shot a message to Pops. I saw no Pops this morning, so just shot a message real quick to him to see if everything is cool. We do talk about family a lot on here, so yeah, we got to check up on each other for sure. Appreciate everybody that's in. Amy H. Dot in the chat says there's a community here, but at times there isn't grace given. Grace is one of my favorite words of all time. Even when something positive happens, we can be so critical and pick everything apart. So true. Not enough celebration going on, for sure.
Man. Celebration.
You got to celebrate everything. Celebrating. If it's 75 degrees out here, I'm having a party. It's going down. Gwen Easter said Tony Goins held a press conference at his cigarette bar yesterday in Lincoln. Did anyone see that? I didn't make the conflict. I did not see that. I did not know that he did that.
Did not catch wind. If anyone has any report from that, any information, any anecdotes, feel free to share that, because that actually leads us right into this next article. The search for a replacement is underway. So
remember, one of the black leaders in the industry here, Tony Goins, he abruptly stepped down over some allegations that he had done something inappropriate with his cigar bar. With when it came to
the money
for the funds coming in to all the weird stuff that happened with the pandemic, and all the ways that they were trying to help save business, and then came back and jammed people up as if they took that money, as if they stole the money. There's a lot that went on with that whole situation, so I'm not surprised that there's still some backlash going on. But he stepped down from the position, and now is anybody rallying up to get into that position again?
Well, no, there are no candidates, or at least no reports of any candidates, and I have personally caught any wind of anybody, but maybe we can speak to a few sources to see if there are some possibilities. But the news is even the fact that there's an option, a chance for somebody else to apply for this, because if you remember, Governor Pillen appointed a replacement for Senator Geis when she stepped down and decided to run for the mayor of Lincoln. Again, there's supposed to be an application process in that situation, and Governor Pillen just went ahead and appointed whoever he wanted to appoint, and it happened to be a family friend. So again, we were skeptical and thinking, would that be the same situation with the Department of Economic Development? But now news is coming out that is not the case, that there will be a application process. Pillen in a press release on Tuesday set a May 2nd deadline for applicants for the position, which again is a paid position at $215,000 a year, which is a substantial upgrade from the $12,000 a year that our senators are making. So yeah, it's a pretty nice job. Applications can be made via the governor's boards and commissions portal in writing to the office of the governor at PO Box 94848, Lincoln, Nebraska 68509, or online at governor.nebraska.gov/board com-rec. That's REQ, board-com-rec, if anyone is interested.
Mm. I'm not convinced that it's still not going to go to some insider. Because look,
Somebody.
yeah, because let's put all the pieces together. Of course, we've been talking to the senators, brother senators Terrell McKinney and Justin Wayne about 1024, 530 for 31, everything that's going on with this money that's supposed to be coming into North Omaha. But that money we know now is going to have to go through the DED.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting that one of our black leaders stepped down from that position right around now.
After what he called false claims.
After what he called false claims. And so who is going to head that up is going to be in control of that money that's coming to North Omaha. I can't imagine that a governor who took contributions to get into the seat in the first place and then turned around and appointed Ricketts right back around, just shook him, just one scratching each other's back is not going to pull some mess again to get somebody in that position. It's a pretty important position when it comes to the funds that are supposed to be coming in to North and South Omaha, especially just that thing alone. If you're the head of the DED, you got a lot to say about what's going on there. So I can't imagine that even though it looks like it's opened up and there's an application process and so on and so forth, we'll see. Do we have, the question I would want to ask is, do we have, and when I say we, I'm talking about First Sky Omaha fam, Chad Chimers, everybody else, do we have anybody in mind for that position? Because I want to keep asking that question. We have to start keeping people in mind and get people groomed for certain seats and positions. Like we have to start asking that question all the time. If there was did we have somebody right now that we can call up and say, you should go apply for this? Make sure that we in there.
That's a good question. I mean, as obviously, what Pillen and them are doing.
Right.
Obviously. So, can you play the game? Can you play the game?
Yeah.
But to the point of one of the chat chimers, big shout out, Tony Johnson saying, my money is that interim will get it. Also, Sister Gwen Easter saying, I'm wondering if the person replacing him will be of color. And the answer right now, as of today, as of, this very moment, is no. The current replacement is Joe Fox, who has been named interim director. Joe Fox was the director of business development for the Department of Economic Development, and now has stepped into the position of director of the entire department. Again, will Joe Fox remain in position? I'm not familiar about Joe Fox or his, political leanings, but that is where it stands. So again, we will see.
Looks like we got some suggestions in the chat already.
Yeah.
Amy
Actually,
H. Go ahead.
I'm seeing a couple people say Dale Gines. I'm also seeing Amy H. Know that.
Yep. Brother Wayne, good choice. I like that a lot. Kimara from the sidelines is saying Dale Gines too, so that's interesting that they both said that.
Tony Johnson.
Yeah. So that's encouraging. I mean, yeah, let's actually throw some names out there. Let's see what's going on there for sure. I appreciate you guys coming up with some ideas there for sure.
Yeah, because this is the current leadership team for the Department of Economic Development. So a little diversity will be nice.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, a little diversity would be nice.
Wait,
representation.
Is that it? Or can you scroll down? Those just two people? That's it, huh?
Yeah, here's some support staff, but this is according to their website.
That's the leadership team. Okay. Robin Kilgore. Okay. Well, I don't know nothing about these people, so
yeah. Again, I don't know, but still, diversity would be nice. That's all I'm saying.
Always. Let's see. Jumping into the chat real quick. Oh, Brother Knight is in the house over on YouTube. Appreciate you coming on through. He said probably gonna be Hispanic. I wonder why you saying that. But up top a little bit more. Von Chapman said to be considered for the DED position, does the person considered need to be a Republican? It depends on who you ask, I think. Tony Johnson 12 says my money is that the interim will get it. Okay.
Yeah, right. So
Interesting.
again, that's Joe Fox.
Joe Fox. All right. Let's see. Just jumping back into the chat a little bit. Jumping back into the conversation a little bit. Tony Johnson 12 is still talking about the symbolic gesture of the street naming. He says some of us are tired of symbolic gestures being treated as monumental change for the community. Street naming only costs $100 and begging council members to sign on. I do believe in the psychological benefits of the acknowledgement myself. But I'm with you on, we also, with that's supposed to keep it in mind. And then that's supposed to travel down to the boots and then boots on the roots on making some change happen. So first acknowledge, then move. A lot of times in Nebraska, I see a lot of first acknowledge, then that's it. So I feel you on that. Also, Von Chapman is talking about the ticket to that Magic Johnson Gala. Yeah, we've been invited, but I didn't realize that the ticket was going to be $575.
Sheesh. I mean, I know some other things we can do for $575.
Although it is Magic Johnson. I mean,
yeah, but it's not Blue Note either.
Meet my hero, but he says the Magic Johnson Gala is expecting 1,000 people, paying $575 a plate. This is personal, but ask Kimara if she's being compensated for her appearance at that event.
I mean, Kimara, you can answer.
We'll have her come on. We'll have her come on in just a couple minutes. She's sitting in the wings. I can see her just bursting at the seams,
biting at the chops.
Matter of fact, let's go ahead and bring her on now, ladies and gentlemen. Without further ado, one of our esteemed leaders in the city of Omaha, Nebraska, and a friend and a good person, Miss Kimara Snipes.
Hey.
Good morning to you. How are you doing this morning?
Oh, I'm good and in wonderful rural Nebraska right now.
Oh, okay.
Okay, working.
Setting.
Yeah, I'm in Grand Island, so myself, Waishal, pretty much my whole organizing team is down here.
Okay, what are you guys doing?
Well, we're coming down here to do a few things. I told you we've been working on this organizing plan for the 2024 elections. And so we've been like super intentional with that. So just more benchmarking for that, figuring out what data we need and different things like that. I also worked with my organizers yesterday to help them each create some volunteer recruitment plans. One of the biggest things you see with most organizations, especially nonprofits and volunteer-led organizations, is trying to find volunteers. It's really, really difficult, but there's even a method to that. It's not just, hey, we need volunteers. You have to put thought into it and strategy with that as well. So working on targeting and messaging for obtaining volunteers and just different things like that. And we're also, I've created a program here at the table, and we want to bring it out in the next couple of months. It's sort of like an organizer boot camp. And so I believe in shared leadership and shared decision making. So the team is offering a lot of input on what that program could look like and things like that. So down here and last night, I sent the team I mentioned before how they are building a sub police station in the public library here. And sent the team. I did not go because I'm trying to work more on my self-care. And so I sent the team to the library, and they attended a meeting that they had last night for the community around that event. They had the mayor there, the police chief, library board, and different things like that. And it's really just interesting when you see issues happening in different communities. Things are a lot of times very different, but a lot of the things are really very much the same as well. So it's really interesting just learning and understanding rural Nebraska and seeing the similarities that exist between rural and urban, especially in specific communities within urban parts of Nebraska, which I imagine the same thing across the nation. So yeah,
I'm sure we have a lot more in common than we think a lot of times.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just connected with some people out in Lexington, Nebraska, and it's an organization out there that's kind of similar to what First Sky Omaha is doing for the Latino community there, because there's like 80% Latino in this town, and of course their leadership is all a bunch of white men leading this, and they're in a constant fight. You don't really think about that too much. About you said it's 80%. She said it's 70% Latino and 10% African American out there, and then a sprinkle of refugees, and people and other people of color out there. So like, can you imagine? There's a rural town in Nebraska somewhere that's close to 100% people of color, still being led by the powers that be there.
After the 2022 midterm elections, because I'm crazy, I sat up that Sunday night at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I literally made a spreadsheet and I put every county in Nebraska on it. And I was really looking at the raise the wage, looking to see who was really supporting that and voter ID and stuff. But then I kind of went down a rabbit hole and started pulling census data for each county.
Mm.
And when you look at the census, and I have this spreadsheet still, and I'll share it with you if you want me to. But there's several counties that have large populations of people of color. Now, I will say, I got really excited at one point in time because I saw this county. I was like, "Oh, it's not Omaha and it's not Lincoln. They got almost 8% Black people. Like, where is this?" And it ended up being where the freaking prison was, and I was livid.
Oh, that's their
Just livid.
population.
Well, you think about it too, because also with the census, they count those people within this places where they are. So if you are in
Right.
prison, you are counted there. And that's talk about the census, not this last one, but the one before that. I believe the data showed that between North and South Omaha, they missed out on about $5 million in funding because of, the numbers of the census. So it just had me kind of thinking. But anyway.
No,
Man.
that's very interesting, and it's funny because being down here in Georgia, in the music industry, I hear a lot about the Chitlin Circuit and how even still today the Chitlin Circuit is still alive and well. And for those who are not familiar, the Chitlin Circuit is literally a circuit or a network of rural small towns. It's not your big Birmingham, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia. It's not the big metropolitan areas. It's these small towns throughout the South that have majority, quote unquote, people of color. And you don't really think about that when you think of rural America.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at the voting map, like it's all red with a few blue dots here and there, usually in the major metropolitan areas. But again, these rural areas do have concentrations, and
Yeah.
it's just funny hearing it because I was wondering, like, is it, this is the South though? Is it the same in Nebraska? Is it the same up in the Midwest and the North? And yes, it is.
Yeah. They're even here in Grand Island. I remember years ago doing some party work, and there was a gentleman who lived here when I was chair of the Black Caucus, and he was telling me I needed to come to Grand Island because of even just the refugee communities that exist here now. Because they have meat packing plants and these different facilities in rural Nebraska where people migrate to. I remember at one point in time when it came to like the Sudanese community, like Omaha was like a second stop. Like people would go to Minneapolis or someplace else and then end up here. And now Nebraska is becoming even one of those first places, and that's not just Omaha, it's rural Nebraska as well. So there's a lot that's happening within the state, and it's not just white people, right?
Mm-hmm.
What stands out to me is when you find out how many people of quote unquote of color are in the state, and also how many like poor white folks are in the state. It's a wonder that this state is red at all. So it really stands out to me like, I wonder if the leadership here is staying in power and really not paying too much attention to what the constituents is talking about. They're just running stuff and ruling stuff. Or the flip side of that is, how many are there? A lot of folks that are voting against their best interests around here because they're getting fooled by the powers that be and so on and so forth. Which one is it?
Well,
Yeah.
and it also goes to Brother Jazari Kowal's question. Big shout out to him for tapping into the chat. He says, Kimara, in the case of Grand Island specifically, what do you think this issue is with representation there? Is it just candidate recruitment or lack of knowledge on how to get involved? So,
Based on we went to dinner last night, the team, and I asked them to like help me understand what happened last night at the meeting. I was like, what did it look like? I was asking different questions. And And I was talking about similarities, right? And last night at the meeting, there weren't a lot of community members there, like just your average everyday citizen. They were telling me that there were a lot of nonprofit leaders, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I know they had a meeting before this one, and the team, the assumption was maybe the community members were at that one, but the community organizer I have here in Grand Island, she was at that meeting, and she told me she would never go to one by herself again because she felt very alone, which also told me that community members were not there. So I think that I think it's a combination of things. I think that candidate recruitment could be better. I've been talking to some people about people I've been meeting in rural Nebraska who I think would make great candidates in the future. But I think it's also lack of knowledge on how to get involved, especially when we're talking about communities where maybe English is a second language, or you have other barriers that exist. And so even as you were talking just now, Paul, you mentioned that media sort of group in Lexington. I think that could play a part too. I know that a lot of these smaller towns, you know, their news stations come from other cities and this and that. And so it makes me really wonder, like, who within that space is really, really sharing information intentionally, because we know even ourselves that we can't depend on the news all the time to give us all the information, all the context, or even telling us, you know, things that are happening right in our own community, because it's kind of a pick and choose sort of thing. So I think it's a combination of things, but the biggest thing is just sharing information. Well, I would say access to information, and then like sharing of information. When I talk about access, it's a thing of maybe they don't know where to access it, don't know how to access it, or people are need to do more to make sure that they're sharing that information in the proper way, which is communication, which is one of my pet peeves everywhere, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason they say the printing press was probably one of the most, landmark, human changing, altering inventions,
Yeah.
because it deals with the spread of information. And it, even in this digital age, regardless of how it's done, it really still comes down to the spread of information.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've definitely found, definitely lacking, definitely lacking in a lot of places. We when we're talking to a lot of the alternative news groups, that's what they're saying. They're saying, when digital came out, then all of a sudden, small town newspapers started going away. There's only and the media sources shrunk down to some big thing. Most people in rural America will get their news from Fox and these big conglomerates that are got one narrative going
Man,
on,
don't
and
talk about
not
Fox.
a whole lot of, yeah. Speaking of Fox, and not a whole lot of the watchdog side of journalism that happens with smaller newspapers. That fourth estate has disappeared, and so now it's just whatever that script or that narrative is being given, and I found that a lot. I found that people that are living in rural areas are paying attention to mainstream stuff a little bit more than they are what's really going on around them in their own community sometimes. So yeah, a lot to it, and I definitely agree with you guys. The information part of it first is the biggest piece.
Yeah, yeah.
Von Chapman in the chat is asking how many people of color in Grand Island are Republican. That's some good questions.
That is definitely a question. And somebody else in the chat has also asked that. Actually, Ariel Swirl too. Mayor Sanchez saying, "My guess is Sudanese refugees turn Republican." So
Really?
that's what the mayor is saying. So that goes back to actually something that you presented, Kimara, on the chat, and we've talked about here on the show, as far as the political gradient, or the political,
Topology.
yes, political topology. Thank you. And who lands where. So let's kind of get into that, as far as we prepare for the elections in 2024, and you're looking at organizing, looking at the landscape. How many of those people of color, quote unquote, that are in these rural areas? I think someone also says Schuler or Schuyler. I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that. Nebraska has a similar population. So yeah, what are your thoughts about, again, who what percentage of these populations are Republican and still lean red?
I have no clue. Being a
Okay.
researcher is something where I want to go look and see numbers. But I
Hmm.
will say this, and this comes from my experience testifying at the Nebraska legislature, and that is, if people aren't getting access to proper and factual information, you can be easily misled, right? And the further west we go, we know the more conservative and I guess, Republican it is, I guess. I'm more focused on like ideology, values, and things like that. And so I don't want to guess as to how many, but if I were to assume, I would say they might, swing Republican, I guess. But we also have ways to, and I don't know. This is just a guess, and it's not even an educated guess. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say, this is actually something I've been thinking about this past couple of weeks, and I was anxious to be able to talk to Precious. Precious came in; she's okay. She just there's something else going on; she couldn't make it.
Okay,
but we'll bring her back on next week. And when we do, I'd like to ask her the question because she's in working for the Democratic Party. I mean, people can give us some numbers about how many people are Democrats. We can get numbers about how many people are Republican. We can get numbers about how many people are registered that haven't voted or have decided to go independent. I mean, we can actually get some numbers and really kind of find out and add to that the speculation on who's doing what and where,
and then find out why,
and then hopefully find out why. Yeah,
right.
Now we don't look into like Republican versus Democrat at work, but I can definitely get data on like percentage of like registered voters, non-registered voters, and things like that. We have a pretty amazing data team. So if that's something you want me to have next time, just let me know and I'll talk to my data team about it.
I think so. I think that's something that we definitely need to take a look at.
Yeah,
okay, just let me know like specifics so that way I can let her know, and then we'll do that.
Okay, check you out with your team now. I love it.
Boss status.
Hey, I want to jump into the chat real quick. Did you have something you wanted?
Well, I have a story that I want to tie into the conversation because Kim was talking about information. So
before we do that, I want to acknowledge everybody that's in the chat real quick. Nunaji L says, "Peace, family. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us, my brother." Also, let's see, moving up a little bit. Tony Johnson 12 says, "Look at the number of people leaving the Democratic Party monthly."
Monthly.
See those? I like to see those numbers. Huh?
I just said, what is that number?
I'd like to see those numbers. Yeah,
I'd like to see it too.
Brother Knight says they're not voting against their interest. The interest is always keeping black people in a certain position. You're talking about even people of color that vote against their, I think there's some people that are thinking that things are a certain way and they're voting for their best interest, but are kind of not. And I'm sure there's something behind that too. Von Chapman in the chat says, how many people of color in Grand Island are Republican? We already asked that one. Amy H. Dot says, good morning, Pops. Oh, Pops is back in the house. He just came in late. Had me worried there, Pops. I'm glad you're here. Tony Johnson said, exactly, the only talk about us when they need votes. No candidates or party in Nebraska has utter words black agenda. Yep.
Yeah. There is an agenda, but
not recently, we'll say that.
Yeah.
Okay. There you go. When
I was chairing the Black Caucus, the Black agenda is something we were actually working on creating. So.
Oh, I don't think he was talking about black organizations.
Oh, I thought he was talking about any organization, including black organizations.
Oh, maybe. Stuart Knight, Brother Knight says, but the senator should look into drawing lines between North O and white rural areas where funding can be of mutual benefit, especially in healthcare, childcare, city government.
Yeah.
That 1024 did include some rural areas.
It did.
Yeah. Tony, he also said, but rural areas still have churches, restaurant centers, hangout areas, need to adapt communication strategy for areas. Okay. Brother Kowal, I'm glad you're on here. I'm glad we finally connected. We definitely should talk a little bit more. I'm glad that you're doing that work down there at the legislature. And yes, man, if you're doing some reporting work, yes, let's get together and collaborate for sure. He says, I have a lot of thoughts about that. Bring Sudanese. Yes, we definitely need to talk about the population there. That's interesting that somebody said that Sudanese is voting Republican. We think.
I mean, Brother Jazari, do you think he says being Sudanese, is that accurate?
Oh, being Sudanese. Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Also, Brother Knight says people of color is an ambiguous phrase intended to mask black people. We should get used to saying certain Hispanic numbers and certain black numbers as well as other non-whites.
I agree with that.
I kind of do and I don't. I mean, I do.
Right. I do and I don't.
And not that I don't, but it's just we don't even like to say black around here.
Or Hispanic, because they're those people aren't Spanish. The Spanish are conquerors. The Spanish are
right.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah, I get
and
that.
we ain't black. But
I do believe.
I
I
get
do
that.
believe that different groups have different needs, though, and we definitely need to address that for sure. So Ariel's 402 says, my guess is Latino immigrants that get all their paperwork in order to turn Republican as well. I've heard some of that too. Brother Chapman says, given the number of black Republicans in Omaha, especially those who switch from Democratic Party to the Republican Party, is concerning. I'd like to see those numbers.
Yeah, what are those numbers? They keep alluding to them.
Yeah. So, thanks for everybody who's joining into the chat there and bringing them some really good some comments and some thoughts behind these comments and so on. Definitely want to hear that. Amy H. Dot says, in the Latino community is definitely not a monolith either. Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yep. Brother Kowal says there are because the Republican Party is reaching out to them more. So they are. There are people. Okay. Suzanne Geist just went to one of the community centers and met with a whole group of them and even shot a video. They're the same Sudanese that voted for me, but now they're voting Republican.
I'm sorry, Aunt. Ain't that funny? I'm sorry. Suzanne Guys didn't show up when I was there. I was like, well, where's she at? But anyway.
Straight from the
I
horse's
guess she was
mouth.
there.
Straight from the horse's mouth, Brother Kowal is saying what's happening there in that community. That's interesting. Who's showing up? The question. So that's interesting, and that reminds me of what we talk about Don Bacon all the time. He's always in the mix. He's always showing up.
Yeah.
We know
There you send somebody.
we ain't nowhere near that party, and we know these people's names because they be in people's faces. So who's the Democratic Party people that are in people's faces like that?
Yeah, actually, I do want to throw this story in real quick to just even add to that question, because not only are they in the faces, but like Senator Mike Flood, I mean, he has a whole media company, and it's growing. Again, Senator Mike Flood, who is a Republican from Nebraska, is adding 2 more radio stations, and this is actually going right to our conversation about information and how information is passed, especially in rural areas. Flood Communications announced Friday the purchase of Twister Radio in Gordon and Valentine, Nebraska, from longtime owners Jim and Deneen Lambley. Jim Lambley, known for his conservative radio commentaries, is retiring. The Twister is the latest acquisition for Flood Communications, which Mike Flood launched during his second year of law school nearly 20 years ago. His first station was US 92 Radio in Norfolk, Nebraska. So again, there is a live and well conservative, radio network and information network in rural Nebraska. But where is the more liberal side? Where is the balance?
There you go. I'm gonna share my screen real quick. United by Culture Media is this group that I just connected with out in Lexington, Nebraska. This is their page here. This is the one I said they're doing a lot for the Latino community out here in the same way, same kind of stuff we're doing. But they
know about the Super Mario video.
Look, man, I ain't got no kids. I don't know about kid movies, okay? But
yeah, shout out to them.
I find it interesting that they're doing a free event. This is the kind of stuff they do. A lot of events. They're doing a free event
in Lexington.
United by Culture Media, nonprofit organization that educates people of color on the importance of maintaining their cultural identity in rural communities through multimedia storytelling. They said that a lot of their focus has been on bringing pride to the people that's a big problem, is the pride that is lacking in their community, right? So you can talk about their story, their work. They're showcasing their work. As you can see, they got studios set up. They do live streaming, and they do stuff in the community. They have a festival that they put on once a year that draws 2,000 or 3,000 people out there. We're actually talking to them about doing a first Sky Omaha stage at their next festival. So, and it's this brother right here. Let's see, this brother right here. He's actually from New York, but he's been in Nebraska for a while. And this sister here, he came to Nebraska here and married this Latino sister here, and they run this thing together. It's just the two of them, and they do a lot more out event stuff than we do. We do a lot more strategizing, discussion and stuff than they do. But now we're talking about kind of joining forces and doing it. This is our first kind of foray into rural Nebraska, finding allying up with other people of color in other parts of Nebraska who also are doing some of the same kind of work. Because everything that we're doing is kind of news based. It has to be because that fourth estate is lacking, and people are and we have to build our own media networks.
Well,
Go ahead.
yeah. No, I'm just saying, what you're making me think about. I go back to the conversation I have around civic health, which includes the civic, social, and political power, right? And that access to and use of information is part of your social power. So you're absolutely right. So I just think it's wonderful, and I'm going to be trying to find them because that festival sounds like an amazing opportunity.
I will definitely hook you up. As a matter of fact, Kimara, I'm going to tell you right now, our idea about doing the first Sky Omaha stage is not just to have music on the stage, but mix music up with speakers. And you're definitely one of the ones we want to come speak.
On the list.
Yeah, man. So, we got to kind of do it how First Sky Omaha does it. We're about the art, but we're about, local politics and what we're trying to do here and awareness and make some movement happen. So yeah, I will definitely connect you with them, and we'll find it. And we're still on the hunt to find any other groups that we can, especially. And we're still. This is in the midst of us still building Black media here in North Omaha, which is still very, very necessary. I'm talking to people every day about training Black journalists that are in the Black community and have access, and if they can anyway halfway right, we can help them become citizen journalists and be able to cover some things that's going on. So if you guys ever come across anybody who has that bug, let us know. That goes out to all the Chad Chimers. It goes out to you, Kimara. I know you got a lot of connections. We're trying to build that. We're trying to build that back up. We're dropping our new website that's going to have a news piece on it because it's time for us to go ahead and move in that direction. So Fourth Estate is what we figured out is one of the most important things here, and we got to be a part of it.
Y'all should go and at the Charles B. Washington Branch Library, they've continued having their youth program there. And so maybe y'all should go and talk to their class one time. The young people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Love that. Absolutely.
Okay. I'll get you connected to them.
It's interesting. Yeah. I started Allen Showcase group in that. Huh?
No, I was like, you already connected.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I started my company, my video company in that Charles B. Washington Branch Library. I did my first recorded interview in that library back in the day that led to this. So
man.
I tell that story every time on the library steering committee. I tell it all the time. Like, we got started in here with this. This library can be a place where you can start talking to folks.
Make it happen.
I'm telling you, I love it.
Yep. Got to finish for that branch. That's the branch my daddy used to walk to too when he was a kid and go check out books. So
got his book in there too.
They have. Oh, you probably been in there. You see all the old pictures from back in the day and everything that they have hanging up.
Yeah.
Oh man. I mean, I might be in one of those. But yeah,
history. Yeah.
Oh, these like the 60s.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, these. Yeah.
But Pops, I think has his book in the library still.
Mm-hmm.
Too, right?
Yeah. We worked at. Shout out to Amy Mather who helped him get it. That works for the library. That works for the main branch library. Helped him get his book in the branch that he used to walk to as a kid. So that's full circle. Love that.
There you go. Man. Beautiful.
Appreciate everybody who's like I said, joining in the chat for sure. It is 8:23 right now already. If you believe the concept of time already. Let's switch gears just a little bit. I know that, Buddy, we had some other stories that we were talking about.
Yeah.
You wanted to kind
we
of
do. But before I jump into that, I do want to mention somebody, Brother Tony Johnson, answered the question, actually giving us some numbers. We were asking about those Democratic numbers. He says Nebraska Democrats in January were 13,495. In April was 13,149. So about 200 or 200 to 300 Democrats seems like they have stepped back or switched parties in the last 2 months. He says these numbers are for McKinney's district, so Senator McKinney's district.
Got it.
Again, and he says from April 2022 to April 2023, Democrats lost 13,000 eligible voters, over the course of a year. So those are some substantial numbers. So we'll definitely try to get a better picture of those numbers and talk more about it. But thank you, Tony Johnson.
Definitely appreciate that. Yeah, that's
13,000.
I want to start looking at numbers.
Man. But yeah, moving forward, and maybe a part of that is again attacks on leadership. This is definitely one thing I want to talk to you about, Kimara. As far as attacks on leadership and specifically what's going on with the Omaha public schools. Again, as a former board member, you may be able to give us some more context to the whole process of what's going on. Again, there is a committee that is looking for a new superintendent. Again, we talked about the resignation of Dr. Cheryl Logan, and there has been an interim superintendent appointed.
Matt Ray.
But pardon me.
Oh, I just said Matt Ray. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yes, Matt Ray. Thank you. I was actually looking for the name, so thank you for that, Matt Ray.
I know Matt very well. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. Who is the interim? But again, that's just interim. There is a committee that is set to find a new replacement. But the issue, there's actually several issues with the committee. Apparently, they are first of all behind schedule. The timeline was set last month, but the district has not even began taking public input or has really began the process at all. And now news is breaking that two of the four members of the board are stepping down. Nick Thielen and Jane Erdenberger, who was actually shout out to Miss Erdenberger. She was a teacher at Omaha North when I was a student there, so I'm very familiar with her. So yeah, she's a big loss to the board. But yeah, Kimmer, can you kind of give some more context to what's going on with that situation?
Whoa. So wait a minute. Jane and Nick are stepping down from the committee or the board?
They're stepping down from the committee. They are stepping down again. Nick Thielen and Jane Erdenberger announced their resignations from the board's accountability committee, which is overseeing the search for Dr. Cheryl Logan's replacement. But yes. Again, to your point, I know I'm very familiar with Miss Erdenberger, and she's dope. She's a dope individual, definitely an ally, and I understand your reaction there because she would be a huge loss to the board. But please continue.
So I mean, I know about this.
Okay.
This brings up the conversation again. Ricky Smith is the chair of that accountability committee.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he'd be a good person for y'all to talk to. But, the information that I have is that it just has not been very professionally ran. I never want to, I have a hard time personally coming down on my people who look like me, but it is what it is. And just the information I have received is that it just hasn't been very professional, people showing up late, if at all, and just different things like that. And I had talked to Jane previously, and she had expressed her concerns to me. And, she really came to me to see, was there some way better to navigate it. And I just wasn't sure what that was. But I know that their meetings are not open to the public, because that's what I asked, are these meetings going to be open to the public, which they're not. But, my biggest thing is, how do we, and by we, I mean people in the community who, care about our kids and care what's happening in the system, like how do we get our input in on that, on whoever the next superintendent is? And that's the most important thing to me, is how do we get our input on that? I mean, when you have two people stepping down from a committee, that to me, especially knowing Jane the way I do, Nick, I had the opportunity to sit next to him when I was on the school board, and Nick and I had several conversations. We didn't always agree ideologically, right? But we could agree to disagree, and we had some really great conversations. And I know that in his heart, I'm saying, he cares for the people. And so if they stepped down, it was definitely for a reason. And, I might catch some slack from people for talking that stuff, but it is what it is. And, our kids, the families who are raising these kids and sending them to school, deserve for us to be as intentional as possible in everything we doing. That's why we get on the school board, right? It's not just a title. It's not just a stepping stone to state legislature. It's an actual position. I know we ain't get, I'm not on the board anymore. I know you don't get paid, but you still have a job to do. I don't get paid for Sona, but I still have a job to do.
Right.
So,
When I saw this article first, it jumped out at me in the very first sentences. 2 Omaha Public School board members have resigned from the district superintendent search committee, with one of them saying her opinion was not valued.
Yeah,
So
Ms. Erdenberger.
you want to talk about why? It's already stated why. And that's what's concerning to me. You hear Buddy's testimony about I'm not familiar with her, but Buddy is, and you can see what he co-signing for her in a big way. And,
I was a mentor when she got, sorry.
And I was just gonna say, in the first sentence here was that her opinion is not being valued, and to the point where she would step down from that committee and not be in the choice of who's going to be the next superintendent.
Man, and you see how I speak of her. I was never in any of her classes. She was never my teacher.
Wow.
She was just one of those teachers who was just loved in the school. Like, everybody messed with her, and it was clear. Like, it was clear she was one of those ones.
And she was a lawyer for 20 years, right?
Yeah,
yeah. Then she became a teacher. I had the privilege and honor of being Jane's mentor when she got onto the school board. And so, I haven't read the article yet. I've been trying to stay away from news, y'all, but now I want to go.
Yeah, well, again, in the article, it does state again that she mentioned her voice was not heard or valued. She says, unfortunately, I do not fall in that category, and I have advised Mr. Head, who is the board president, as of this afternoon, that I too have resigned from the committee.
Another problem, Mr. Head.
Okay. Well, and he has been very tight-lipped about this process and situation, so that could be an issue as far as lack of communication. But she went on to say, it is with great reluctance that I regret that I do that I do that, because I was very excited about doing that important work, and I'm not sure who my replacement will be, but I wish them the best, and I hope they enjoy working on that committee. As of right now, the committee consists of Margot Juarez, who is the vice president, and then also Ricky Smith, who is the chairman of the committee. And then as of Monday, Shavonna Holman, Dr. Shavonna Holman, will be replacing Nick Thielen. And then again, Erdenberger says she does not know who her replacement will be.
I'd like to jump into the chat real quick, because we actually have somebody from the school board in the chat. Miss Brianna Full is here.
Hey.
First of all, Vaughn Chapman says, is Ricky Smith a part of the selection process for OPS that we just answered?
He's leading it.
Right. Brianna Full says they resigned because of poor leadership of the chair of the committee. Okay, there you go. Tony Johnson 12 says Ricky Smith is the chair is all one needs to say. I need some more said, because I don't know him or that situation, but I hear this a lot. Amy H. Dot says, Brianna Full, how does the OPS school board decide what is put on the consent agenda? Question for Brianna Full there. Brother Chapman, you in the chat too. You can ask Brianna Full yourself. He says, what's your impression or now that she's been there for a while? What's your impression now that you've been there for a while? I'm going to jump down to Amy H. Dot says, what does stepping down do to fix the problem? Good question.
That's a good question.
Tony Johnson 12 says, and she declined nominations for leadership roles on the board. She saw something coming.
She actually had a leadership position on the board, from my understanding, and was removed. So,
Interesting. Lots of inner things happening there, and I definitely we've been talking to Miss Brianna Full for a little bit, to get some insights on what's going on there. She's also at the legislature a lot too, and get insights there. So, Brianna, Miss Full, we need to keep on talking about you coming on regularly and giving us some insights here on some stuff going on. I still find myself swirling around in confusion when it comes to what's going on in the school board, especially, which has come to my attention this season. That it's kind of its own little town because of like how much money is really there and how it affects the rest of Omaha, how OPS affects the rest of Omaha. I don't have any kids, and they're not in the OPS school system, so I would think it doesn't apply to me, but it actually does. If you live anywhere in North Omaha, OPS and what they decide to do it affects the community in a great deal, not just with the kids, but just the community in general. So there's a reason why they're offering $300,000 for the next superintendent. They've upped the pay to $300,000 for this person. They're looking nationally too.
That's
And you know
interesting.
what's going to happen is that I don't know if people recall when we were looking for a superintendent previously, these things happening make it very hard for someone to say, yeah, I want to go there. I want to come work with a perceived dysfunctional board. You know what I'm saying? I'm not calling y'all dysfunctional. I'm just
Well,
saying,
Brianna Full is,
Brianna Fool
well,
is.
who was a
I
part of
just
the
want her
board.
to know
So
that I'm not calling her dysfunctional, is what I'm
Yes.
saying.
Mhm.
And so, and that makes it even harder, in my opinion, to really, really recruit somebody. So,
yeah,
Tony Johnson 12 is talking about Ricky Smith. He said, he says, he says Ricky Smith has only wins when no one else runs. He says Ricky Smith runs Omaha 360, that group that everybody complains about. Ties into the things we've been talking about 360, about Empowerment Network, all the
this
questions that we
week.
have.
Mhm.
Just this week, Brianna Full doubling down says that it's dysfunctional and embarrassing trying to fix things.
Man.
Appreciate you in there trying to fix things for sure. Von Chapman in the chat says, with these internal problems, the students continue to suffer, which is really what this is all about.
Right.
The
The
longer
biggest.
these problems continue, the worse it is for the students.
Yeah. And again, if
Yes,
students
ma'am.
aren't feeling heard or in schools, then they're not going to go, which leads to other problems.
I
Yes, ma'am.
will say that now that that is in the paper, one thing community can do is go to these school board meetings and provide some public comment. It's on the record and everything. That is something that you can do. I plan on having a conversation with Margot. She's also, she was my secretary for SONA, but OPS has been so much, she had to step down from that position. But just ask them, how can community be supportive? I don't know what that answer is. Maybe Brianna knows, because I've never been a part of the board when they were actually looking for a superintendent. But it's just kind of ridiculous. And for somebody with as much institutional knowledge as Jane has to not be taken seriously or valued, to me, and people can get mad if they want to, that's just, to me, poor leadership. And I know leadership,
Mm-hmm.
period.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jane knows the students,
Yeah.
so for her voice. But to answer the question as far as public input with this process, again, at the heart of this, they are searching for a new superintendent. And to your point, Paul, about OPS being a small city, you actually brought back up a memory of mine when I was a student in OPS, and I don't know how I got into it, but we were at the TAC building and we were cooking lunch for the superintendent, and it felt like we were about to have lunch with the mayor. Like it felt, like the superintendent is coming. So
She
they're
making
looking
mayor.
for.
They're making mayor money.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. So the superintendent is definitely a big position, especially when we take in consideration all things that are going on with education across the country. What is planning on happening with education, the right or wrong person getting in that position could have a huge impact on how our children are treated and educated. So again, the process, there is an opportunity for public input. It's not only this accountability committee, which is ran by Brother Ricky Smith and Margot Juarez, but there's also a firm that OPS has chosen, GR Recruiting, who will be the board's liaison with the accountability committee, and they are in tandem going through the parameters for getting public input, and will continue the search process and the application process for a new replacement for Dr. Logan. Again, there's no deadline set, but they have been working since March 20th to find this process, or to finalize this process.
Jumping in the chat real quick. Tony Johnson 12 is asking, do you need to have a child in district to talk to OPS board meetings? Kimara Snipes is saying no. You don't have to have it. Have people being heard to testify didn't have or didn't even reside in OPS district. So
Man,
you can definitely come speak. Also, just wanted to give a little bit of an idea about what's going to be happening in season 6 with us here at First Sky Omaha in the morning. Working on a list of guests that we're reaching out to that we want to talk to is coming on. It's going to be a little different tone this next season. We're definitely going to ask Ricky Smith to come on. Willie Barney's going to be coming on. Megan Hunt, Michaela Kavanaugh. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of a short list of some guests that we're going to be having on season 6, and we've taken season 5 to kind of. I'm sorry, we're in season 5 right now. Yes, we've taken season 5 to build the language out. and to be able to have the questions ready. And we're going to be bringing on some folks to ask some of the hard questions in season 6 as well. So that's definitely coming up. We definitely have, we're coming into the summertime here. So that means that in a matter of 6 or 7 more shows, it'll be the end of season 5, go on break, come back season 6. And we'll really be trying to make some headway in with conversations with people that we've built up of a lot of questions for. So we'll definitely be talking to folks for sure. Also, Amy H. No Dot says, interested in Kimara's take on the extremes in the legislature. Senators referring to things like the great replacement theory. What is best to combat this? That's a loaded question there, isn't it?
Ooh.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, we only got about 20 minutes left.
How much time you got?
I will just say this. I guess what immediately popped into my mind, I guess my spirit was speaking to me, was one of the things I talked to my organizers about is having these one-on-one conversations with people. And to me, that's what it comes down to. Because again, when I go and I testify and I'm listening to these senators, I'm like, these people have all the wrong information. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I think some of it comes down to. Now, some of it's straight racism, but I don't know. Like I feel like it's you have to get in people's faces and get rid of all the extra stuff and be able to just talk to people. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you have people who are just being fed all this wrong information, and then you just have people. I don't know. It's scary. That's what it is to me.
I see a lot of people not even searching out information. They talk to folks, they get a feeling and an impression, and then that's what they go off of.
Yeah.
I see others that are trying to read some news here and there, but it depends on where they're reading it, where they're getting the information. So
a lot of people talking from points.
Because as we see, these news stations will just blatantly lie to you,
right?
Knowingly.
Oh my goodness! Every day,
a lot of people just talking from points and from the agenda.
So true. 8:41 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, I encourage you guys to go back. There's a lot of chat that's going on in here. I don't want to take some of this chat into the directions that it's going. So go back and definitely check it out. We're going to try to stay on point here with what it is that we're talking about. Really appreciate everything. Amy H. Dot says, let us know at Heart Ministries if we can be a part of those conversations or should initiate them. Most definitely. Tony Johnson 12 says, let Kimara facilitate conversations with them. We're definitely going to, we're going to have it's going to be a little bit of a confrontational, I wouldn't say confrontational. It's definitely going to be our style. We've built over the course of 5 seasons a style in which we talk to people. First of all, starting with respect, and then trying to get down to the bottom of things instead of attacking and calling names and going back and forth with a bunch of arguments and nonsense. So hopefully we'll have some civilized conversations and get down to business on changing and working out what people think and all that good stuff. Amy H. Dot says, Buddi and Paul do a great job facilitating conversations on their own show. So does Miss Kimara Snipes for sure. She's on our own show too on a weekly basis.
Yeah, she's a part of it.
Part of it for sure. So we'll definitely some of these we'll definitely have you on to facilitate with us for sure. Compare the number of conversations in the community from him. Yes, I've heard that before. Ricky Smith, don't see a whole lot of things that's going on in the community that a lot of feedback, a lot of talking, we just have a general problem in Nebraska and Omaha in general when it comes to like town hall meetings and people getting together and speaking. And I mean, this show wouldn't work if everybody was already speaking and talking together. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's obviously a need. There's obviously a vacuum when it comes to people getting together and having some freaking conversations. So there it is.
Conversation rules the nation. Gotta happen.
Yep. Pop says, Kimara, you are incredible. Thank you for all the great things you do for Omaha. You are a beloved force of nature. Appreciate you putting that link in the chat too a little bit earlier, Kimara, where you said that the library loves to support. Loves to support the local authors. Pops definitely in the chat earlier was talking about the library being his stomping grounds, and he feels honored to have his work especially in the Washington branch for sure. Man. So appreciate that very much, Pops. And of course Amy H. does this. Well, of course Kimara does. She's just saying.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thank you.
Amy H. Dot is fam too, and I'm gonna definitely be hitting you up for season 6 for facilitating some things.
Amy's the truth.
Yeah, she's boots on the roots, man. And one of the soldiers for anything, anything that's going on for First Sky Omaha. You can send her to somebody, go talk to somebody for real. It's the truth. So I love to see that coming together. Teamwork makes the dream work, which is what season 5 is about. Season 6 is about my theory on sixes, which is boots on the roots. This is people, the support, the people that are engaged in the action, and the people that are making the difference, the change, the boots on the roots, not the dreamers, not the ones that are trying to come up with the grand schemes, like us, but the ones who actually put boots on the roots and take action and make some big change happen. So we're going to really be pushing that and developing those relationships and those conversations in the future. So appreciate everybody who's joined into the chat and the family that we've been building here with First Sky Omaha is the best. And I can't wait to get to some Chat Chimers kickback this summer so we can all be face to face and even have even deeper conversations, because living alive with one another is the way to go. And then come season 6, we'll be digging in and teaming up and trying to get to the bottom of things for sure. Kimara, before we let you go, any last words? What's good in the hood?
Yeah, so I guess over the next few weeks, I'm gonna have some new information for y'all, some things happening. But in the meantime, I'm really excited about. I've talked about my connection with the state table in Georgia, Pro Georgia. Denise Luke down there, that's my girl. And she's the integrated voter engagement director for Pro Georgia. So I'm actually working on putting together a meeting with my team at the table and her to have discussions about we had a conversation. She talked about the budget and the intention and the intent that her director put into the budget, which was just really amazing. So we're going to talk about that, get some input from her on our organizing plan, on how they navigate working with their membership, and continue, as y'all say, building this connection, which is really important to me. So I'm really excited about that, to get her with the team and to start having these conversations as we really just continue this work. And if you want to, I'm happy to get y'all connected with her as well.
For sure. Absolutely. Appreciate that very, very much. Yes, it's all about continuing making that connection, and we appreciate that you being a part of that as well. If you missed any parts of the talk here with Kimara, then please go back to the Facebook page and the YouTube page and watch the show in its entirety. And also, when you do that, go back and look at the chat. That's where a lot of this stuff is going down, and a lot of the good comments and the adding to the conversation is happening here. So we really appreciate everybody that's done that. Definitely check it out. Kimara, will always a pleasure to have you on. We'll have you back next week for sure, and bring us that information. Can't wait to talk to you some more about some things.
Give me the specifics of what you want, and I got you.
Got it.
All right.
Sounds good.
All right. See y'all later.
All right. Peace.
All right. Peace.
All right. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Kimara Snipes, put some respect on her name.
Leader in the hood.
Community leader was good in the hood. It's going down. We'll take a quick break and come back and jump back into some conversation here. A few more things in the lightning round coming up. And some haps. Stay tuned. We'll be right back for Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
I'll be Buddi3 Da Gawd.
Hey.
Kaleidoscope junkies, monkeys tested, vivisected, neglected like art. Mr. Getty spent $1 billion to bring museums to the masses, but 1 billion kids in East LA can't afford to buy canvas. So this generation develops a new kind of art appreciation to how fast the cry line goes on in dark downtown stations. Stand around twisted, Jekyll and Hyde, pyromaniacal styling like Easter Island sea creatures. Smile and cut you in the face. The truck that drove them hydroplaned on the tears of shattered dreams. Poppy seed candy cane tastes sweet to teeth with no insurance. My life drawn in anime. Is it okay to play on the one-way walking backwards? Your rules don't apply to me. I stand defiantly supine. My spine scratches the street and makes a noise similar to the struggle. My black fist cocked in the mist like 2 gorillas, game hens, game wardens, warning that final shot to fire. You got my chest wired so you can hear the sounds bouncing off brick walls, cattle calls of the ghetto. Is this the internment camp revamp? Who fares well when welfare fails to fix that baby mama mojo? Mackin' to make that monthly check. Yo, hey.
Yo. Good morning. Welcome back. You're listening to First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
Hey, in the morning.
Little free moral agents for your morning right there. Some people in the sevens music from back in the day.
Okay.
It's going down. It's going down. Back in the days when the dragonflies flew. And it's about to fly again today.
Actually, I was gonna say, speaking of that, you got a picture? You got
Oh no, man! I didn't do it. I'm gonna get it. Let me get it first before I start
Okay.
broadcasting. Then you might get up there and find out.
Yeah.
We'll see. But shout out to everybody who has joined us right now. Really appreciate everything that you guys contribute. It is invaluable. Your comments and your participation, invaluable. People paying attention, man. We talk to people all the time that are saying that they check in on the show. They learn a lot from the show, learn a lot from the chat chimers, and understanding more about what's going on and what the frustrations are, especially in our neighborhoods and in the black community as well. So hopefully we're getting down to it.
Man, hopefully. Actually,
David Ruffin.
ain't nobody come see you, Otis.
Oh man, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Gwen Easter in the chat says, I appreciate anyone who is about the betterment of North Omaha and our kids, regardless of party. There you go.
It's about making it happen.
She said earlier, don't be tripping on telling people which party to vote for and all that. And also earlier in the chat, I believe it was Judy Prinzler that was saying younger folks are what she heard is that younger folks are leaning more towards being progressives, independents. Rather than a Democratic or Republican side. I've definitely been independent this whole time myself, so I appreciate hearing that news. It does kind of seem like that to me. Younger voters are leaning more towards independent than a Democrat and Republican, which, like I said, it sounds like good news to me.
Yeah.
Kimara Snipes says, my son registers independent.
I mean, because I mean, if you subscribe to either side of the pendulum, then you're a part of the swing. We need some balance. We need some balance. I'm never going to vote for all Democrat or all Republican up and down, because there's somebody that's going to, there's somebody who's not going to jive well about, what's really what. Just because you got a D next to your name, what does that really mean? And big shout out to Kimara for, again, tipping our brains and kind of putting it on the mind about political topology. Nobody's a monolith. No human being, nobody's a monolith. There are people who kind of discussed, came to an agreement. Okay, we agree on this way. We have this in common, and then they went with that. Mm-hmm. I'm sure if they, talked about it, they have differences as well, and they have things that they don't agree on. Having a more independent. Go ahead.
You always hear that when you see like comedy shows where they're interviewing Republicans and they try to get an answer out. So what is CRT? Well, CRT is something they don't even know. You don't even know.
No independent thought.
That's what stands out to me is no independent thought. That's what stands out to me is that most people are lazy with their voting, if they vote at all. They're lazy with it because they don't really look and see what's going on, or they don't dig into the parts that they don't agree with. They don't even try to find out. They just it's all identity politics. They let people who they think is their identity tell them this is the way we're going. So let's just all go. All right. And then they're out here holding up signs and don't even, what do you mean no CRT, sir? What does CRT mean? Well, it's, I don't know, but I'm not for it. You hear that, you see that mess all the time, man. It's really hilarious. So, exactly, not a monolith. Definitely got to do some critical thinking on stuff, and that's what it's all about. Kimara Snipes is the same, buddy. All my skin folk ain't my kinfolk.
Man,
applies to the party as well. Don't just because you're a Democrat don't mean that you are on the same gang, bro. Republican don't mean that you're all in the same gang still. You know what I'm saying? Like not to perpetuate too much LA. I'm just saying. Yeah. You could be a Crip in LA and being a whole different gang. Even Crips ain't a monolith.
Man, I was actually doing some reading on that. There's a lot of infighting. But anyway, Vaughn Chapman, I do want to go back to his comment. He says, because of all the different playbooks, and speaking of that, in the community, how do you determine what team makes the dream work? And I think the point is the dream will never work until we work as a team. Like, that's the point. So the dream ain't going to work until we have a agreed upon agenda and all effort, because again, energy. I heard this in a clip on social media. You can take a 50-gallon barrel, you can tip it over, the water is going to disperse and eventually evaporate. Or you can take that same 50-gallon, concentrate it with the nozzle, and it can cut through concrete. Like we have to, we're stronger together than dispersed. So there you go.
Stuart Knight, Brother Knight says, need legislation that allows independents the capability to vote in all election processes. Yeah, I believe right now independents can only vote on the Democratic card.
Yeah.
So yeah, lots to that. First, got to figure out what you even believe, where you can coming from, and which candidate is even representing that. We have to do a whole lot of lesser of two evils voting all the time, which is not ideal either. Which is that's messed up. Brother Knight says, I already read that. Also says should be a monolith in some perspectives. That too is a loaded term. I'd like to explore that a little bit at some point. That's very interesting too. We should be a monolith in some things. I tend to lean towards that. I kind of feel a little bit like we're here doing that work right now. We're trying to gather like-minded people so that we can build a focus that will lead to some action on certain things. So
No, I agree. Again, teamwork will never make the dream work, or the dream will never work until the team can work on a common goal. So yes, in some aspects we do need to be monolithic. But also at the same time, respect each other's differences. That's how the team really works. Nobody does the same thing. Everybody has a different role to play, and that's the team. That's what makes a team.
Tony Josh said, forget dreams and we need agenda and strategic plan. Dreams are false illusions of success. Been dreaming and keeping hope alive since slavery, for real. That's why we are definitely partners with the Black Agenda Alliance. And even in the name, they have an agenda.
Right.
And the only ones really doing that, man. So that's, I hope that they can spread that out. I was real happy to see Brother Kasim over there working with Brother Lewis, Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Hopefully some of these black organizations here, we can all kind of get together on the same tip on some of these things for sure. Sarah Phelps in the chat. Good morning. Says,
hey,
we need four strong candidates in every election that would force folks to work together. There you go. And when you say we, who's the we? But because right now I'm thinking about what was said a little earlier. Judy Prensler and other people bringing out that a lot of young folks are moving towards independent. I haven't seen an independent candidate yet that I can get behind. I'm an independent. I would love to set up 4 independent candidates. I would love to change the narrative. You know me, I'm always I do not accept the narrative on a whole lot of stuff. I want to change that narrative.
Yeah, man. I mean, 2 wings of the same bird. Yep. And to go to what Tony Johnson is saying as far as dreams, I definitely agree. We do need agendas and strategy, but you got to dare to dream too, or else you're only going to reach for what seems obtainable, which at times is very bleak. It's very bleak.
I feel like the dream part is the first part. You come up with
exactly
the idea, then you got to turn it into motion.
Exactly, which takes an agenda, which takes strategy, which takes some actual work. But yeah, we all on the same path, man.
Hey, man, let's jump into a little bit of haps.
Let's do it.
What's happening? What's going down?
Hey,
we haven't done this in a while. Talk about a little bit of haps that's happening. It is Wednesday. What is it? April the 19th.
19th.
So there's some things that's going on. This thing stuck out to me real quick. Celebrating the life and legacy of Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, doing it big. 19th through the 21st.
Yeah, it's a birthday.
That starts today.
No, that's next week, bro. It's April 19th today.
Oh. Yeah, it's April 19th today. So what are you saying? It starts next month?
May 19th. It says May.
Oh, I missed the whole writing of the May up there like that. Okay, so next month. That's good. We got some time to get ready. 3, 4, 4, 8. I was like, what? Is that going on today?
Snuck up on you.
Snuck up on me. Yeah, next month, May 19th, we got a month. So birthday celebration honoring El Hajj Malik El Shabazz.
Yeah, man.
AKA Malcolm X, going down to Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Glad to see them getting that rolling again. Save the date for sure. Also, there's a youth employment training thing going on at the Nelson Mandela Elementary School.
See, man, Nelson
Okay.
Mandela gets down.
April 25th. Check them out. If you want some more information about that, we'll definitely post it in Friends of First Sky Omaha. But yes, summer earn and learn, man, for ages 14 to 24. There's a lot of
Oh.
legislation going on right now about younger kids being able to work.
Yeah.
Texas is trying to let them work in the middle of the night and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Man.
But yeah, let's definitely talk about it. So we'll put that in Friends of First Sky Omaha for you to definitely check that out. Tuesday, April 25th from 5 to 7, Nelson Mandela Elementary School, Summer Earn and Learn Youth Employment Training. If you got some youth, definitely check them out.
Wasn't there somebody who suggested legislation for like a separate minimum wage for the youth? For like,
Yes. Yeah, they wanted to make even less than minimum wage
man, that's ridiculous.
because they don't need because they live with their parents and don't need the money.
Man, I got a hat for you,
arbitrary-
Paul.
Huh?
Man, yeah. Like, how are they coming up with these numbers to say what you need and what you don't need? But I got a hat for you, man. This is right down your alley.
Okay.
Sister Snipes says my social club is having a quesadilla fundraiser tomorrow at Ebony Wills. Paul, she even added you, Paul.
Motorcycles and quesadillas. Come on,
All right.
man. And I would and don't nobody better say you better call them quesadillas either. You know, you're supposed to
Quesadillas.
don't put them 2 L's on it. Gwen Easter said Commission on African American Affairs will have a meet and greet this Saturday, April 22nd, North High School, 9 a.m. to 11:30. Thanks for reminding us about that too.
Yes.
For sure. Appreciate that very much. Also, our friends over have an organization called Sober Socials. This is events
Man.
that they have for people who are not trying to go out and drink but still hang, and so on and so forth. There's a place called Dry Spokes over there on Leavenworth. That's a full non-alcoholic bar, and it got some of the best tasting drinks you ever had in your life. So definitely check out Sunday, April 23rd. They got a scavenger hunt going on at 2:00. I think the scavenger hunt is this was the last day to register your team for that. So, but you can still go and check it out. The vendor market and plant potting, all kinds of stuff going on that day at Dry Spokes, April 23rd. Definitely check them out, and just check out Sober Socials Omaha. That's Lucia Rodriguez, a friend of First Sky Omaha, that has this new business called Sober Socials. I have a hard time saying that. Sober Socials, and it's putting some really great events going on. As a matter of fact, they had their own haps where they talk about stuff that's going on with the sober scene in Omaha. Like DJ Angie Spence, who's a sober DJ, and
Gets
that's
down.
one of her. She gets down and throws some of the best parties. So they talk about what's going on with her, just celebrating being sober and not being out here drinking too much, acting a fool, so on and so forth. So yeah, man, lots of good ideas and good things going on with people in our community. Just want to keep bigging them up and so on and so forth, and we'll continue to do that. And yeah, man, it's already 9:02, so I'm gonna quit talking on that stuff. But thanks to everybody for who's been joining us on these in this journey, this conversation.
Yeah, man.
Anything that you want to add, buddy? Anything for words for the people?
Yeah, I mean, a few stories we haven't gotten to. I just want to just kind of let people know we almost forgot and to remind that we talk about Pillen a lot, but Ricketts is still a senator. So let's keep that in mind as we continue to look at what's going on in the legislature, and what's happening with our senators.
We'll talk about that Friday too, man.
Yeah,
The
man,
U.S.
yeah.
Senator Pete Ricketts that we keep forgetting
man,
even
still
exists.
raising money. Also, speaking of that, also looking at what's going on with Fox News, because this can be possibly a very landmark case, especially dealing with media. And this is I believe, a defamation lawsuit. So again, something to look out for about what is and isn't considered defamation and libelous. But yeah, definitely interesting, especially when talking about Fox News and this whole Trump saga.
And not just that, the people that have won this were voting machines. So back to the voting issue.
Yes,
For a while, people were trying to act like them voting machines was doing something illegal and ruining their reputation. That's the reason why they won the suit, because they proved that they weren't doing anything illegal and that Fox was just defaming their name. And that might have gotten into our heads about, can we trust the ballot system? Can we trust all, you know what I'm saying? And that's the reason for this. So all that whole case is kind of important to us. So we'll definitely talk about some more of that on Friday.
Yeah, man.
Yep.
And no, Tony, you did not miss anything. Precious has some things she had to handle. So she did not come through today, but she will be joining us hopefully next week. So Yeah, man, that's really all we have, man. In the meantime, in between time, let's get on up out of here. Big shout out to Kimara, who did spend some time with us and drop some gems. So big shout out to her as always. Best of luck with you out there in Grand Island doing the work. So big appreciation to you, and a big appreciation and love and thanks to all the chat chimers, all the ghost listeners, first and last time listeners, everybody who embarked on this experience with us. We thank you. We appreciate you. We love you all the same. And I mean it, man. Teamwork definitely makes the dream work, and the dream will never work until we work as a team. So let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. So with that, Paul B, take it away, man.
Right on. Appreciate it. Pop says great show and love my First Sky fam. See you all on Friday. Appreciate you very much, Pops. Also, we got a couple more great shows up here somewhere. Thanks to everybody that's bigging us up on these shows for sure. Really appreciate everybody's comments. If you missed any parts of this show, you can definitely go back to the Facebook page, the YouTube page, watch the show in its entirety, and definitely check out the chat when you do. Really, deep comments and conversations going on in the chat. Don't want to miss that.
Man.
For sure. So thank you so much thank you guys for coming on too. Shout out to Kimara Snipes for coming through. Shout out to Precious McKesson for doing the work. We definitely can't wait to talk to her next week. And on Friday, we can't wait to talk to Brother Senators Terrell McKinney and Justin Wayne. Don't forget to tune in Friday at 7 o'clock when we talk to those brothers. You guys have a good day too. Thank you so much. And we will get out of here. Thanks to the Omaha Tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Thanks to our elders for allowing us to speak before them. And thanks to you, the chat chimers, allowing us to speak with you. Can't do this without you. Thank you to also the reoccurring members of the channel as well. $10 people, $25 people, $50 people a month that help this continue to go and the conversation to continue happen. Cannot happen without you. If you're so inclined, go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the donate button, and become a reoccurring member or sponsor of the channel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
With that said, we'll see you out of here, buddy. You have a good one.
You too, man.
And we will catch you guys Friday.
Yeah.
So,
Peace.
Peace.
By the way, Vanguard. This is protected by the red, the black, and the green. At the crossroad.
By any means necessary.
All right, man. I got to get going.
Yeah, man. I got to handle some things too. Hit the road, man. Safe travels, and just let me know. If anything
All right,
changes.
man. Appreciate it. Talk to you soon. Peace.